everybody. It's Friday, and you know what Friday means, Josh, right? It is all things advocacy. It's a cold, windy day in January, and we know it's the legislative season. So we're here to talk about what happened this week. So joining me is our State Director, Josh Asvik. I am Janelle Mose, the Advocacy Director, and we are in two different spots today, as I can see, and as
That's
people
kind
can
of been
see.
this week, though. We've been in different spots all week.
Yes, that is the one great thing about a legislative session, that you can do your work anywhere, anytime. And clearly we are in two different spots, but we are still here to update folks on what happened this week. So remember last week we talked about property taxes, property taxes, property taxes. So what happened? I'm going to flip it on you. You were the lucky one that got to talk to our legislators about why property taxes are so important to folks 50 and older.
Yeah, as a reminder for folks, property tax is one of our 4 priorities, along with lowering prescription drugs, preventing fraud and scams, and doing more to enhance housing opportunities and the ability to stay home. But property tax was front and center on the menu this week. The House Finance and Tax Committee had a couple of bills. I'll start with the one that we testified on, which is House Bill 1176. That is Governor Kelly Armstrong's proposal about property tax. That is the one that expands the current primary residence credit that many of you probably hopefully applied for and saw on your primary residence bill this year. It expands it from $500 to $1,550 over the next biennium. And then it also makes some expansions to the homestead property tax credit program, the circuit breaker program that we have long supported and worked to broaden and enhance for older North Dakotans, to ensure that if they have a concern paying their property taxes, that it's there and it's targeted at those who have more issues paying their property taxes than those who might have an easier time doing that. And so had a great hearing. It was obviously a very lengthy hearing when you have the governor testifying, the bill sponsor testifying, the House Majority Leader testifying, the tax commissioner testifying. It's no secret that it took a while to get to us, but we stood up and supported the primary residence credit portions as well as the homestead tax credit expansions in that bill. That bill has a long way to go. We're hearing rumors that the governor would like it fast tracked. We're hearing rumors that they're trying to do something by the end of the month. I don't know about you, Janelle, but based on the conversations I was having this week, I think that we'll see if that happens, but there's going to be a lot of work in the coming days. I should also touch on, there was a second proposal that I think is getting some very serious conversation. We have not weighed in on this one yet, but we're certainly keeping our eye on it. Representative Lauser has a bill 1168, which would essentially buy out the school funding portion of your property tax bill. It kind of takes the remaining 20 to 40% of the school funding portion that isn't paid by the state and buy that out, and then also put some parameters around what local political subdivisions can do. So those are kind of the 2 big property tax issues. In addition to that, we also heard the governor talk about his budget proposals, which are a little bit different than the previous governors. You want to touch on what we heard there, Janelle?
You know, they are. And Governor Armstrong really took hold of what the housing initiative, we were part of the housing task force that former Governor Burgum had put together, and we really wanted to make sure the voices of 50 plus were heard. And what we found out in the budget, there's 2 specific pieces within the budget, one in the Department of Commerce, and that'll be really looking at how do we make sure that rural areas can look at revitalizing and looking at the homes that might not be being used anymore. So there's a stream of money, about $5 million in the Department of Commerce budget. It's really called the Rural Blight Program. So it's looking at properties that aren't being used anymore, and how do you revitalize that space to really attract residents and keep residents in rural communities. There's also $35 million in the Housing Incentive Fund, which is really significant. That really helps, expand single family homes, multiple homes, but looking at that affordable housing. How do we make sure that if you want to stay in your community, you want to downsize, is there affordable properties that allow me to move to that? And the last one is looking at the Department of Health and Human Services. There's $1 million in there for home renovation for accessibility. And that was something we really talked when we were part of that task force. It's not only about affordability and being able to downsize, but how do you make homes accessible, age friendly, so that you can age in place, so that you don't always have to think about what's next, making those homes, and not just good for people 50 and older, but really everyone looking at housing, because that's the other really important conversation that's happening at the Capitol right now.
Absolutely, Janelle, and excited to dig in more and learn more, and we'll be there certainly pushing for enhancements to help you all be able to age in place. Let's pivot to next week. I'm excited. I'm not usually excited to work on a weekend, but I'm excited to work on Sunday night. We're going to do a briefing, and then Monday is our advocacy day at the Capitol. You want to give folks a quick update on that, and then what else is happening next week?
Yeah, I've given legislators full warning that there will be red shirts all over the Capitol on Monday. So Monday, January 20th, we're excited to have a whole large group of folks there. And why it's so important is legislators tell us all the time, right? They want to hear from constituents, and so this is the opportunity for folks that have registered that plan to join us in their red shirts to tell legislators why preventing fraud is important, why making sure they can stay in their home is important, why lowering prescription drugs. You and I can talk about that all day long, and they see us every day, but it matters. Stories matter. If anybody watched House Bill 1114, which was the insulin cap bill, Nina, who's a 16-year-old from Hillsborough, told her story about being a type 1 diabetic and why having access to drugs is so important. So I'm excited. I'm excited to have people on the ground talking with their legislators. So that's what's coming up next week. There's 2 other property tax bills up next week as well. One will look specifically again at the primary residence credit, and it's really a complementary program to that homestead property tax. We want to make sure that people are accessing as many property tax credits as available. So that's coming up. There'll also be one about a property tax portal. I don't know if you've dug into that bill, but that's Senate Bill 2166. But I know during Measure 4, we heard a lot of people say, I don't understand my tax bill. I don't understand what's on it. I don't understand where my property tax goes. So this is kind of a step forward to really educate folks about their property taxes.
Yeah, 2166 is former Governor Burgum's proposal about making it clear about what's happening with property taxes. So looking forward to learning more. We're just monitoring that one for right now to see what happens. So with that, what do we need folks to do? I think insulin is still an important topic. We obviously haven't forgotten about that. You referenced it, but we still need folks reaching out on that.
We do. We need you to contact your legislators in the House to let them know House Bill 1114 is a good bill. It's a good step forward to expand coverage to the private market to make sure everybody has access to affordable insulin. So it caps that out-of-pocket cost for both insulin and the medical supplies at $25. So this is a huge thing. So don't hesitate. No, there hasn't been any action, but the more they hear from you, the more they know that House Bill 1114 is a good bill and they should vote in favor of it.
Absolutely. So for those of you who are joining us Monday, we look forward to seeing you. If you can't, make sure you reach out to your legislators and tell them what's on your mind and what's important to you. And it's been a Friday. It's been another All Things Advocacy with AARP. We'll see you next week.
See you.